What is up? This is Zombie Talk 123 here. Just about a half an hour. A very interesting and somewhat surprising deal went down. Now, earlier yesterday and the day before, it was reported that Marco Scutaro, there was a deal involving Marco Scutaro between the Red Sox and the Rockies, and it was pretty close to happening. Then it was shot down, and then now today, well, tonight now, the deal gets done just like that. So it was somewhat surprising. It caught me a little off guard because I wasn't really expecting the Red Sox to trade Marco Scutaro because, number one, I mean, who's going to play shortstop for the Red Sox? Well, then you look at, well, they did sign Nick Punto, and they also have Mike Aviles. I really like Mike Aviles, and it was overlooked of how well he did when he came over to Boston. He was a top prospect for the Royals, didn't really pan out. He goes over to Boston. They don't make the playoffs, but he was one of those players for the Red Sox late in the season who played really well. He hit well for them. Now, I have not seen him play defense. I know he plays many positions, but I have not seen him play shortstop. What I know about Nick Punto is watching him day in and day out, he does get hurt a lot. He was hurt for more than half the season last year. As well as, my memory can tell me, it seemed like he was always going on the disabled list. But when he was there, he was a pretty viable bat. I mean, he was pretty solid. He would come up with big timely hits here and there, pretty clutch. But when you look at his numbers overall, they're not that great batting-wise. What you do like is his defense, though. He can play second, he can play short. He can probably play third. I've not seen him there at third, but he's just an infielder who can play second and third, and he played it very well defensively last season. So expect him to be a defensive option late in games, and hopefully he'll be okay offensively for the Red Sox. Mainly for him, just stay healthy, and you can be somewhat of an impact on the team, a positive impact on the Boston Red Sox. Do I think that having a guy like Nick Punto and Mike Aviles compete for shortstop is going to beat the New York Yankees? No. I mean, the Yankees have gotten really good this offseason. They really had a quiet offseason, sort of like the Red Sox. And then they had those two big deals in one day, getting Hiroki Kuroda and then trading for Michael Pineda and really solving the rotation problems. The Red Sox have one of the most cluttered and just stressful rotations in all of baseball. And I'm not a Red Sox fan, but it is absolutely frustrating to see how disappointing the rotation is year in and year out. They set it up where it seems like it could be good on paper, and then these guys get hurt, these guys underperform, they give these big contracts to a guy like John Lackey, and all of a sudden they just have a mess in Boston. So really, instead of fixing the problem in the starting rotation, they have really just improved the relief pitching a lot. And I like the deals that they've made. I think they're good deals getting good young players like Andrew Bailey and like Mark Melancon that are not going to cost a ton. Instead of going and keeping Jonathan Papelbon and maybe overpaying him and maybe overpaying a few other relievers, they went the smarter route in trading for impact relievers. But in the process, they did give up a shortstop in Jed Lowry. And now you would really like to have Jed Lowry for your team, for starting shortstop. Instead, now they trade their starting shortstop in Marco Scutaro to the Rockies. The Rockies are going to use him at second base, his position at first. He was second baseman for a while. So they're going to put him back at second base. And for the Rockies, this is a really good deal, I think. You only need to, really, it's more about adding payroll because Clayton Mortensen is very expendable for them. You remember the deals they made last season, getting Drew Pomeranz, getting Alex White. They have a ton of depth pitching-wise, and they honestly just don't need another fifth starter type. They have a lot of pitching, and they don't need Clayton Mortensen. So you give away Clayton Mortensen, it's really more just adding payroll. And they've actually had a pretty good offseason this year. They're definitely trying to put themselves in a winning position in the West. They're trying to compete again. I mean, this is a Rockies team who's had magical seasons, magical postseasons, and then comes back and has a really disappointing year last year. Obviously, Jorge De La Rosa, that was a blow to them, and it was struggling for them trying to get their feet on the ground pitching-wise. But offensively, you look at this team. You look at Carlos Gonzalez. You look at Dexter Fowler. You look at Marco Scutaro, who they signed to a pretty big deal. Tyler Colvin, who they acquired, could be really good in the outfield. Obviously, has shown that power potential, hitting over 20 home runs, as a rookie with the Cubs. You look at the infield. You see Troy Tulowitzki. This guy's a franchise player there. So, they have him till like 2020. So, you're good at shortstop. At second base, it was kind of in a revolving door. Now it's DJ LeMahieu and Jonathan Herrera were the two second base options. They did also sign Casey Blake for third base. They have a top third base prospect in all of baseball, though, I believe. So, obviously third base will be covered, probably in 2013. They'll have him starting. But for next year, Casey Blake will be a pretty viable option. You look at their rotation, Alex White, Drew Pomeranz moving up there. And then you look at their catchers. They signed Ramon Hernandez. So, they've had a very good offseason improving their offense, and now they really need Marco Scutaro. Now, they were in talks with the Mets to try to get Justin Turner, who was a starting second baseman for the Mets last year, a pretty young guy. He actually did really well for the Mets last year. And they wanted to get him. They really like Justin Turner, and they were willing to give up Eric Young Jr. Now, for whatever reason, that deal could not get done. So instead, they go this route, getting Marco Scutaro. They've liked him, obviously. They started trade talks a few days ago, probably more than a few days ago, but it was first reported that they were talking with the Red Sox about Marco Scutaro a few days ago, and then this deal gets done. So now for the Red Sox, this money that they have saved, it's either going to a guy like Roy Oswalt or a guy like Edwin Jackson possibly, or they have a deal in the works. And they're definitely not done. I mean, they have to have another deal in the works, whether they're fixing the starting rotation or not. But then the question comes up, why did they sign like 5 fifth starter types on minor league deals? Padilla, Cook, Miller, now they have Clayton Mortensen, to just spend the $6 million on a starting pitcher. So questions are obviously going to be asked. Number one, who is going to play shortstop for the Red Sox? They're going to say, most likely, unless they trade for a shortstop, it's going to be a battle between Mike Aviles and Nick Punto, and at some point, one of their top prospects, Jose Iglesias. He's not there yet. He actually didn't have a great year in 2011. So you would think this even have more reason to at least give Marco Scutaro 2012 at shortstop. The trade with Jed Lowry made sense at the time, but now they're probably wishing they had Jed Lowry. But still, Mike Aviles, he did well, and I think as Boston Red Sox fans, you might be a little scared going into the season at shortstop. Who are you facing? You have Derek Jeter of the Yankees, and who do you have? Mike Aviles and Nick Punto. So there's definitely room to improve, but you can't just look at the Yankees and compare. I mean, this Red Sox team is built differently than the Yankees, and they need to focus on Red Sox business before they even think about the Yankees. They just need to play the best possible game that they can play and hope that they win the division at the end of the season. But this is an interesting trade. Now, for the Rockies, I really like this trade for them. Now you have a second baseman. It's not a terrible price for them. If you've seen what other free agents this year have gotten, Rafael Furcal getting paid $7 million to play shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals. I think that's a deal you can go off and say this Marco Scutaro, payroll-wise, salary-wise, is not bad to be paying this guy $6 million. This is a guy who had a very good year for the Red Sox last season. He didn't get a full season in. He didn't get all the playing time, but he, almost bat 300 last year, 299. He had over 50 RBIs, and he had 7 home runs. So compared to what Jonathan Herrera and a few others were doing last year, this is a big improvement for the Rockies. He's a veteran. He has good defense and very good bat there to add with guys like Troy Tulowitzki, Michael Kadire. You look at the outfield, Carlos Gonzalez. So this is a very good Rockies offense. They have a young pitching staff. So let's see how much this team improves for 2012. So this is a really good move for the Rockies. Okay, so my final thoughts on this deal, my kind of predictions is, yes, it could be very easy right now. It could be very realistic that Roy Oswalt is sitting there working out a contract with the Boston Red Sox now that they have that for sure payroll room. And I can see that. This is a very realistic option that, the Red Sox goes and they just get a deal done for Roy Oswalt and somewhat fix a rotation. And then try to rely on all these other minor league signings and Clayton Mortensen to fill out the rest of the rotation. But it could also be a possibility that they are trying to improve via trade. Jake Westbrook, Kyle Loesch could be available. They've been shopped around. The Red Sox could be using the $6 million, maybe a little more, to try to eat up some salary for a pitcher that might be a little overpaid. That could be in the works. Or probably more realistically, it's a guy like Roy Oswalt or Edwin Jackson. My thing is they've just gotten so many pitchers. Are they really going to spend the $6 million on another pitcher? Or are they going to trade for a position player and maybe eat some of that salary? Who knows? So obviously time will tell on this deal. It could be a disaster for the Red Sox if Mike Aviles and Nick Punto don't get the job done. They might have to try to acquire a shortstop maybe in the mid-season deals in July. Who knows what will happen this season? Or maybe Mike Aviles will be an all-star. We will just have to see. So we'll see. We'll also have to see what the Red Sox do with this money. But time will tell again. So thanks for watching. This is MLB Talk 123. I'm also on Twitter, MLB Talk 123. We'll have some interviews with some minor leaguers coming up soon. Thanks again.